yeah, we need a H100 AI, like, and it actually just goes unutilized most of the time.
Investors from the users, are we actually heading towards AI bubble? Like, is it people?
It used to be that 1 terahash of Bitcoin required 5 million joules. Today it's just 15, so 300,000 times improvement. It's amazing.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Sienna, and this is Cassidy Wong. And today on the round trip, we have two amazing founders, David and Daniel from Gonka.ai. Welcome. Cassidy, give them a brief intro.
Yeah, of course. Welcome to the episode. Gonka.ai is a decentralized AI computing network built to pool and share global GPU computing power for AI tasks like model training and inference, instead of relying on centralized cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud. So yeah, joining us today, as John mentioned earlier, are David and Daniel Lieberman, the co-founders of Gonka.ai. They're the leaders in the future of AI, and in this episode, we will talk about their work, mission, and how they see technology transform our lives. So let's get started.
Yeah, to have you on. I get to work with you at web3.com. So yeah, excited to have you share what you're building with our audience here. I know you guys have like a deep tech background and you've been building for years. So why don't we start off a bit with your background?
First of all, we are brothers, and always in our life, we're always together. This is part of our background. We do businesses together, and somehow primarily we started with, of all the things, parallelized compute and decentralized networks, early back to 2003. And then we moved to games, online games. It was also sort of parallelized compute. A lot of people actually playing online with each other over internet. And then the games brought computer vision because we needed to increase speed, make it cheaper, efficient, and more efficient production of animation. That's how we got into computer vision. And after that, honestly, computer vision sort of dragged us into a completely different direction, which was animation. And then after that, AR avatars, which we created for Snapchat. Snapchat acquired our company for $60 million, and that's how we sort of pivoted towards this direction. But then in between the different projects and companies, we always wanted to create something which would make a significant change in the social innovation, in how social interaction happens. And when AI sort of appeared, was in our life in a new form, not the machine learning which we knew before, but the new form of large language models, which seem to be real and thinking. We can actually converse with them, and they can help us in a lot of stuff. And we see how this entire new field of transformer-based machine learning, actually image generation, video generation, breakthrough in biology, chemistry, physics, everything. Even the new ways of doing more efficient nuclear plants, of all the things like this, the current wave of AI actually affects everything. And then we will see robotics, self-driven cars progress. We're seeing this right now really rapidly with this new advancement. And therefore, as soon as we saw this, we understood that this is going to affect society more than anything else. And we got scared a little bit. But not scared in the sense of the Terminator will kill us all, but in a sense of with the current status quo of what's happening with the compute, we have 3 American companies owning 65% of the cloud compute, and then 2 more Chinese, Alibaba and Tencent, combined this 5, actually 80% of all the cloud compute in the world. And AI is compute, and currently AI is cloud compute. Moreover, it's unlikely it's going to be different. And all the same companies are right now competing for owning 100% of all the AI compute. And this is going to be a really weird world in which a handful of companies actually own and control all of the AI, which will replace all the jobs, which will reshape all of the economy and society. And we decided that it is crucially important to focus on decentralizing AI. And this is how we get to where we are today from where we started.
Yeah, I think there's a brief period in there because you're not completely new to AI. There's this kind of linear path. And also a few years ago, you started Product Science, which is backed by Coatue, K5, and slow ventures. So maybe you could like give us a little bit of brief background of like that, and then how that led it more into Gonka.
Yes, computer vision, which Daniel mentioned, it's inherently it is AI. Yeah, so that's where the machine learning started to actually gather that attention. The first use for machine learning mostly was around generating images or animation and things like that. That's where AI actually started to be practical. Now we already see it in many other fields, and language models start to dominate the market. But actually, image generation and everything connected to computer vision, that's where most of the progress was initially with AI. That's how we built reputation around us in this field, in the field of machine learning. And then after we left Snap, we also created this company, Product Science, which built AI for code optimization for most of the top Fortune companies like Walmart, JP Morgan Chase, Airbnb. They all used our software to optimize their code. Like right now, companies like Cursor, they help you to code, but also it's really crucially important that this code will
Work efficiently.
Yes, work efficiently, will be performant, and that was our focus before we actually shifted our attention to Gonka and to the decentralization of AI infrastructure.
So yeah, I guess that, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned it. Yeah, five companies control like 80% of global compute. Like very recently, Cloudflare, yeah, they went down, had a massive thing. It wiped out like half of crypto. And then it seems like few months, like Amazon East or West, they go down, and then another third of crypto is like crippled. So yeah, why don't you explain like how Gonka can play into that? It's not like I guess like a decentralized, like a general cloud, but it's more focused on AI. And yeah, the more we rely on AI, the more that becomes important. So yeah, jump into that. What do you think about that? Like, how can Gonka like overcome these outages?
Yeah, so from that situation which we have right now, we see and saw like just one way out is decentralization. That like the models themselves, we can see that none of those companies can have a significant advantage. Like DeepSeek or other independent labs, they show that actually it's possible to train the models which will be comparable in the quality to those giants. But the main choke point which we see is in the compute. And decentralization will be definitely the main angle, even in the past, in terms of the competition for these major labs. But the infrastructure which those frontier labs right now are building, and the major cloud companies are building, nothing comparable before us happened in the decentralized fields. Even the largest decentralized AI compute network today, BitTensor, they just have 5,000 data center grade GPUs. While you all hear that OpenAI, XDI, they build right now million top GPUs in just several data center projects. So we saw that the only way we can balance it so that AI will belong to people and it will be decentralized, right? That it won't be just a single point of failure in this process is when if we can build compute network of a similar size. And that's where we got the inspiration from Bitcoin as actually not as digital gold or store of value, but as one of the greatest frameworks to build infrastructure. So that was the moment when we actually looked again at Bitcoin from this perspective and realized that the infrastructure which was built by the community through these 15 years is something unbelievable. That Bitcoin today comprises 26 gigawatts of data centers. Few people understand that it's actually more than Google, Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, XAI combined. So this is an enormous infrastructure project which was built by independent players around the world who just wanted to have the independency from the centralized systems. And also, we were amazed by the pace of innovations in hardware itself through the same 15 years. It used to be that 1 terahash of Bitcoin required 5 million joules. Today it's just 15, so 300,000 times improvement. It's amazing. If we can do the same for AI, the abundance will be possible, and the AI will be accessible for every human being on Earth.
Yeah, I saw like Bitfury, which was a very early in the Bitcoin infrastructure. They just announced that they're backing you with like a $50 million investment. And then I was also, yeah, how do you feel about that? And like, what does that signal? I think, I don't know, I think you might agree, like Bitcoin made energy fungible because, energy in Siberia is not the same as energy in, Silicon Valley. So how do you, are you making compute now fungible, or is there still a difference because, you have some latency and that actually matters a lot with AI?
We believe that with AI it will be the same. It just, we need the same type of innovations in hardware. And in this case, it will be the same. It's just currently the NVIDIA chips, they really expensive. And that's why in data centers, which are built right now by OpenAI or XAI, most of the costs are money paid to NVIDIA themselves. But if we will repeat the ASIC innovation, ASIC transformation for AI, will be in the quite different world when the hardware itself per
unit of compute,
unit of compute will be much cheaper. And in this case, energy will be again the big player in the process. And the fact that people like Bitfury and other like early miners and early hardware producers right now investing in the ecosystem is actually the signal that people recognize the same pattern. Like when in 2012 it was early in GPUs were the dominant mining equipment, and then just in a few years ASIC started to be the only viable path for mining.
I think it's definitely been an interesting year, like especially this year for AI. The industry's gone through a major shift. Starting off the year, there's like the hype around generative AI, and now in the middle of the year, we have like a shortage for compute resources. So from your perspective, like what are the biggest challenges facing the global compute market right now? Like how do you view issues like ongoing supply crunch from NVIDIA's H100 chips?
So what we can see is that there are business and enterprise realities, and in those business and enterprise realities today, it is hard to compete with giants which worth of trillions of dollars in the market capitalization, and they have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash to just basically go buy companies, acquire people, invest in infrastructure and stuff like this. And in this sense, for any independent company which is capable of producing new chips and new compute infrastructure, they are startups. As much as like we think that the new chips can only be invented by the large corporations, but it wasn't the reality for Bitcoin, for example. Yes, in the beginning it was Intel chips and then NVIDIA chips in the beginning of Bitcoin. So first people actually basically mined it from their own PCs at home and then moved to the GPUs still at home. But then when Bitfury and others started producing ASICs for Bitcoin, they immediately become tens of times more efficient than the NVIDIA chips. And they were like companies out of nowhere starting production of those chips. The dynamic is such only because of a framework, the financial framework, which David mentioned. Whoever can produce the most of the compute in the network, whether it's Bitcoin or Gonka, will get the most of the coins, of the limited supply of coins, reward divided in between those who provide the compute. And then every day more compute is added because more people are competing for the same money. And as the coin price grow up, the reward becomes more lucrative for more and more people to join the race of increasing the capacity, compute capacity of the network, which drives understanding that even a small company anywhere, like in Korea or in San Francisco or like somewhere in Europe, can design new chip and even without having a sales department, business development department, relationship with these large corporations and data centers, like and investors, like you need none of this. You can basically produce a chip, plug it into the network, and start making money if it works. So this significantly decreases the complexity of doing the business of producing the compute. And that's what we expect will happen again. It happened in the past with Bitcoin, and we believe it will happen again with AI compute, with AI chips, just because as soon as the protocol is there, and people can basically start making money out of basically connecting their compute to the network. It doesn't matter whether it's your own compute or you bought it from NVIDIA, or you actually even rent it out from existing data centers. It doesn't matter. Like, you basically provide the compute to the network, and this gives you the rewards. This framework, this angle, we believe can drive a significant investment into the field, a significant reward for those who innovate. And therefore, we will see hundreds, if not thousands of times more compute driven to the AI networks by this innovation, by this financial framework and innovation, which is followed by this framework in the coming year or two. Like, it is going to be very fast, and any choke point of the compute which we have right now will be absent.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the same way. Like, you hear these stories of like early crypto miners. They were like, kind of do a botnet on the school computer because like all the GPUs are being unutilized, and it would like mine Dogecoin. I feel like there's a lot of companies that they're like, yeah, we need a H100 AI, like, and it actually just goes unutilized most of the time because they don't know what to do with it. So they're like, hey, let's just plug it into this network while we're not using it. Do you like experience some of that? I know the network's like still early, but yeah, what are the anecdotes out there?
We experience both, honestly. Like, the anecdote is this: like, we have few startups, actually really successful and great startups, and because of the early hype of AI compute, they would, using the investors' money, they would buy like a few hundreds of H200 GPUs, and by now only half of them is actually utilized. So the startups are growing; they're doing well. They have millions of users, and yet they appear to have more compute than what they need. The other stories is basically the companies which already uses their compute, or even renting the compute from the large data centers, using them to run open source models on them. And then they basically understand that with our networks, they can use the rented compute to use the same models from the network, from the API of the network, and then actually install the node on the compute instead. So they will be able to both use the models over API and earn coins, making them more money and more efficiency than if they were just running their own GPU models.
Yeah, a lot of the models are also getting like more efficient with the tokens per like prompt. Yes. So you may have like thought oh, we need 10, but then this new model comes out, you only need 1. Now you have 9 extra.
But also, it's inherently, because it's parallelized compute inside of GPUs, to use efficiently your own GPUs, it's quite hard because you need to have batching of thousands of requests at the same time to actually use GPUs in the efficient way. So currently, companies, they have two options. They either can use their own hardware or rented hardware, but you won't be able to utilize it properly in any case if you just one project. Or you use API, but if you will make calculations, API is quite expensive way to use those models. So both of the options are not optimal. That's why to connect to network is a better approach. But even in terms of anecdotes, what we see that many networks out there, they position themselves as that you can use some unutilized GPUs. But what we showed that in our network, it's efficient and it's better business to connect the GPUs, even which you were able to sell before. Like, for example, data centers, which are currently part of the network, like G-Core or Hyperfusion, they started small, and they don't, they're quite efficient players. That's why they don't have much of the unutilized capacity. But through the last 3 months, they experienced that they can actually earn much more because they have this exposure to the growth of the network. They can earn more than the rental price, which they can rental payments which they can have from their clients. So they gradually shifted hundreds of GPUs. Well, they started just with few, but they now shifted hundreds of their GPUs to the network. And this can allow the network to scale to actually not just to thousands, but to millions. because even though, yes, OpenAI, XAI, they kind of gathered most of the available GPUs sold in the market, but still millions of GPUs are sold to these independent players, but they just cannot compete by being this small. The same right now, for example, we experience with when we talk with governments. They all, like a year ago, when we still were in development of the protocol, we reached out to some, but the major narrative was that we will build our own clusters and we'll have sovereign AI. Now, a year later, they all clearly understand. So we're right now meeting with ministers of Emirates, Kazakhstan, Islam, Bhutan, like European countries. Yeah, so they all realize that no, like as independent players with small amounts of GPUs, they cannot compete. But together, as a big network, it actually can be something of enough of the power so that all these governments, they will keep their sovereignty. And they will not. They will have this independence because everyone can trust the decentralized network.
Yeah, maybe it's like people thought, oh no, we'll just create our own sovereign Bitcoin. We're gonna.
Yes.
No one ended up doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can deny that there's a massive excitement driving like this rapid growth of like the AI, the computing, like the entire sector. But do you think with like all these expectations from like investors, from like the users, are we actually heading towards AI bubble? Like, is it people are comparing it back to like the internet era where there's the dot-com bubble? But are we heading towards AI bubble anytime soon? What do you guys?
What's interesting, like the AI bubble. Obviously, there was a hiccup back in 2000 with the AI bubble.
Not the tech bubble.
But with the tech bubble, with the tech bubble. So we've seen sort of like the internet bubble back in 2000. Look at where we are today. As much as people might say bubble, not bubble, back 25 years ago, the internet was real, and the economy and the change in the economy which it brought is real. We now see that all the same companies which existed at that time are all trillion-dollar companies, serving business needs, governmental needs, social and entertainment needs. Like, this all changed our life. We now don't go to the rental for the DVD. We just basically watch Netflix or YouTube online on our phone, underground or in the plane. So this is the world we live compared to where we saw that there was an internet bubble. Comparing to the AI, we will see the shift in everything so much more radical. Like, imagine every human being having a robot, your own personal robot, not like a robot which replaced you at a factory, but your own robot, which can go and work at a factory. Like, billions of robots globally in 30, 50 years from now is not a science fiction. It is our reality, which we will see soon. And therefore, like, investors' willingness to put billions of dollars towards development of these technologies, it's not irrational. Like, obviously, some of them will lose. Some of them will invest in something which will not going to exist in a year or 5 years from now. But this was always the reality. If we look at the whole venture investment in tech over the past 30 years, we will see that, yes, a lot of money was lost, but in total, if it was just one investor who invested in all of those companies, we would see that they would get multiple access to the invested money.
$100 million per seed startup.
This is the return per seed start. Per each seed startup, they were investing at like $5 million relation, $10 million relation. So it's like, it's actually, as in general, as a field, is very profitable. And not only it is profitable, but it also changes lives of people. So bubble it or not bubble, some companies will burst just because they were having a wrong hypothesis. Like, Gonka might have a wrong hypothesis on the possibility and viability of decentralized AI, or vice versa. Maybe all of the investment which was done,
NVIDIA, yes.
Like NVIDIA is a bubble.
Because ASIC revolution will happen, and ASIC revolution will transform the entire thinking. Like, even in 2012, NVIDIA had 50% plus bump from crypto narrative
to their value.
Because everyone thought that NVIDIA will own crypto market and this will be a great revenue stream. But then they completely lost the market, the competition, and they lost this additional share price.
Now NVIDIA has the bump with AI, but this bump is huge because everyone expects that it's going to be tens of trillions of dollars market.
And the expectation is right, but no one knows whether it's true and NVIDIA will keep the dominance and they will be the only player in the market, or ASIC transformation will happen and the NVIDIA dominance position will be eliminated.
Imagine what will happen if they are all wrong in terms of like NVIDIA. So there will be at least 5 or 7 companies with $1 trillion valuation, which might lose hundreds of millions of dollars of their current valuation. And a lot of people basically will lose their money. A lot of people basically will lose their money. But at the same time, is it a bubble of AI or is it a bubble of a specific bet on a specific chip manufacturer and a specific number of companies? Obviously not the AI. AI is not going to disappear, and AI is not going to like stop changing lives and businesses and like everything we see around us. So there will be something different which will capture all of this value. The fact that this number of companies right now accumulate $15 trillion of value doesn't mean that this value is bubble. It's just basically this value will be shifted towards other companies.
Yeah, I think it's also like you don't say you're using the internet. Like, I'm using the internet. No, you say I'm using this app. This app uses the internet. Like, I think every app is going to use AI in some form. Like, this, whole video setting, it's going to be enhanced with AI. You could already see it on Google Meet where they kind of have some filters, the voice enhanced. So yeah, I really don't think AI is going to go away. And it's just going to come pretty ubiquitous. Like, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be in everything. And you're just not going to think about it.
Yeah. So what Daniel is saying, and it's a good exercise too, like right now, like when you watch this, please go and do that. Just Google NASDAQ index and zoom out to like all time. So what you see, like you will see is the 2000 bump, but it's
2000 burst. Like we lost a lot of money, crisis worldwide, blah blah blah. But this bump that time is like tiny compared to like
to what we are right now,
to the typical daily fluctuations which we're having.
So
right
at that time it was this massive crisis. Like everyone, like a lot of people lost their money. But if you just stayed on the course, you will be really well off.
Just hold the index.
because what happened in 2000s? There was this narrative that all the goods will be sold online. Yes, it hadn't happened in 5 years, but it happened in 15 years. So the same with AI. The thing which Daniel mentioned, that robots will be everywhere, they will be intelligent, and they will be controlled by those AI brains. It might not, for sure, not happen in 5 years. But it for sure will happen. Nothing can stop it right now. So in from this perspective, AI narrative in terms of will we use thousands times more compute? For sure will do. It's inevitable that it will be the case. But whether some current ways or expectations or strategies which were used will be true or not, this can be a question. Like for example, currently Stargate and Colossus, they built with NVIDIA Blackwell chips. They invest hundreds of billions of dollars in this particular infrastructure. Mm-hmm. If you will try right now, rebuild Bitcoin with the whole hash power, but with NVIDIA Blackwell chips, you will need to invest $5 quadrillion to build it. It's unsustainable way. So the path which we see right now, if we repeat the trajectory of Bitcoin with ASIC revolution, is a way to innovate with the compute, but the compute will be thousands of times cheaper, and many different innovators around the world will drive this transformation forward. This is a way to build this thousands times more compute infrastructure rather than what currently is the narrative of big cloud providers and frontier labs. So can it be the bubble? I'm pretty sure that it is. But whether AI itself is a bubble in the narratives that will use thousands of times more compute, that we will use a video, like real-time generation, that will play games by generating video in real time through world model ethics, that for sure will be there. It's inevitable that will be there. It will take more time. It will take maybe 10, 20, 30 years. And we definitely need a long-term tokenomics to make it happen. Like Bitcoin tokenomics is a long-term tokenomics for decades to come. So we definitely need that. But whether some strategies which right now are hyped among the investors can just burst, for sure, some of them are.
Well, maybe we're just at the beginning phase. There's a very long way to come.
Yeah, I think it's still early days. I think we might want to leave it at that because this conversation could go on for forever. But yeah, it's really like, yeah, how does this play out? Of course, yeah, if Nvidia goes down, everyone will be saying, I told you it's a bubble. And then 3 years after that, it's going to like, yeah, when in doubt, zoom out. You just have to let it, continue. Like you said, yeah, I really think it's going to be like thousands of times more compute. If there's anything that's, yeah, been true since like the age of computers, it's we use more compute every day. So yeah, really thank you, David, Daniel. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, if you, yeah, really like what they had to say, check out Gonka. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
It's been
join our Discord. The community is growing, and it's all like driven by the community. There is no company or foundation. It's all driven by miners and developers who join the community, be part of it, and be part of this transformation. Thank
Yeah.
you, John.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
really a decentralized network. They have a DAO that controls a lot. So yeah, check it out. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.